Hello. This is my 2007 Dell Inspiron 530. Now, if you watch my other channel, RNC Music, you'll know I'm very big into vinyl and music stuff. But what you didn't know is I'm also a big computer nerd. And this is my childhood PC. Now, not technically. This was my grandfather's Dell. When I grew up, I had a Dell Inspiron 530S, which was the slimline model. However, they are very similar, except for in form factor. This still run Windows 7. Back in the day, I had Windows Vista and then Windows 7. But this is relatively stock. Relatively. It has a different CPU in it. It's gone through a couple. But other than that, besides the second DVD drive I added and the second hard drive, this is a mostly stock machine. Today that changes. We are going to do some actual upgrades to this thing to get it to a more usable state and also install a modern operating system, Windows 10. Now, going off the original specs of this machine, this would have had a Core 2 Duo E4400, which is what is not in this currently. It would have had a 500 gigabyte Seagate Barracuda hard drive, one DVD-RW drive, and I believe from factory it came with a modem, which I do still have installed. I just haven't taken it out because I don't really have a use for it, so it just stays in there. Some other stuff I've added to it: this 4 gigabyte just USB 2.0 drive, which I use as swap for the RAM because it only has 2 sticks, and this Netgear Wi-Fi adapter because this thing only has LAN Ethernet. I don't know if it's gig speed at all. I've never used it. Looking on the inside, we have the stock Dell cooler. This is actually a Sunon fan out of a Optiplex, a Dell Optiplex workstation. A little much beefier of a fan. Pulls a lot more air. I just wanted to use that. The CPU that is in here currently is the Pentium D or Pentium Dual Core E5800, which is at 3 point something gigahertz. It's faster than the original Core 2 Duo E4400, but it'll look very slow compared to what I'm going to put in here. Right here is the original 2007 Seagate Barracuda 500 gig drive, and this is a Western Digital WD Blue Caviar 320 gig, which is just a random storage drive. This one is faster than this one, so this is why this is the secondary drive. Up here, I don't know who manufactured either of these. This is the original DVD-RW. This is the second one I put in, and both are connected to SATA. Now, this motherboard by Foxconn, I don't remember the specific serial number or name or whatever. This is the revision A. So this is the first revision of the board. So it has 4 SATA ports. It has PCI Express 16X, PCI Express 1X, and 2 PCI slots. And then it has the 4 DIMM slots for DDR2, 4 SATA ports at the bottom, a floppy disk interface, IDE, has an IDE set of pins in here, which is very interesting for 2007. And then Intel G33 integrated motherboard graphics, I think, 512 megabytes of VRAM. In certain applications, it performs decent. In other applications, it falls flat on its face. For integrated graphics, though, it's kind of a beast. Anyways, let's get into what we are going to be putting into this system. I'm not sure what is in these packages. There's 2 here. I'm guessing this is the CPU. Which, this motherboard would technically support a Core 2 quad. However, it doesn't have enough voltage controllers on the board, so the motherboard physically can't deliver enough power for a quad-core chip. So, in a perfect world, I'd want to put a Core 2 Quad Q6600 in here, but unfortunately I do not have the right motherboard for that, so we are going to go with the best one of the best dual cores Intel made of the time, which was the Core 2 Duo E8600. And there is a little bit of Scotch tape on here I just can't seem to pick apart. Very interesting packaging, though. I think that's the CPU in there because it's not very big. This is a refurbished CPU, I believe from China. It shipped very quickly, though, which makes me a little suspicious. But okay, that's a little better. This is in a little anti-static bag. It says made in China, which this chip is definitely not made in China. I'll be able to tell. I believe my Core 2 Duo E4400 was made in Malaysia. I think the Pentium in here is also too. All right. Really funny if they sent me the wrong CPU or something like that. That'd be quite funny. Well, not for me, but for your entertainment, it would be. Ah, yes. Intel Core 2 Duo E8600 at 3.33 gigahertz. LGA 775. So that is the CPU that will be going in this beast. And I'm going to set it right here on top of its anti-static bag. And this package is a little more of an interesting pickup. Now, since this computer is 2007, and it is a home family computer, it did not have DDR3, which had either would or had just come out at the time. So this is a DDR2 machine. Now, when you think of DDR2, you're probably thinking 2 to 4 gigs. Well, since these Dell machines from the day, the Optiplexes and Inspirons and Vostros, are very well documented, it has been proven that on a machine identical to mine with the Revision A motherboard and the correct BIOS, you can run 8 gigabytes of DDR2. And that is what we have here. A 8 gig set of Kunsani memory bank. Really just Chinese knockoff RAM. And this stuff should be faster. This is, if I pull one of the DIMMs out. I have to put this back together because I do have to update the BIOS. If I pull one of these DIMMs, I believe this is 333. It's rated in megahertz, but it's actually mega transfers per second. 333. 667. Yeah, I believe this is 667 megahertz at 333 mega transfers per second. And this is, I don't even know what brand of RAM this is. Just goes to show you how Dell did it back in the day. But these are not proprietary sticks. It's just DDR2. It's not SODIMM. It's just regular old DIMM slot DDR2, which I will now put back later. Other than that, nothing else is going to be upgraded in this video. After this video, and once I get paid this week, I will put in the order for a GT 1030. I was going to get a GT 710, but I decided against it because it is the older Kepler architecture, and I wanted to get a Pascal era card, which is only 2 generations old at this point, and this thing does not need anything too spectacular. I just want to have something that'll be solid enough for me to play retro games from about the year 2001 to about 2012. That's what this machine is mostly used for, besides creative applications like writing and stuff. But I just want this to be a good internet machine and a good vintage-ish gaming machine, because I do have a gaming laptop and it can play newer stuff. But this is my older computer. So without further ado, I'm going to update the BIOS, chuck the parts in. Oh, and I forgot to mention I did get new thermal paste. Wherever it went. Oh, it's still in here. I got new thermal paste. Corsair TM30, blah, 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 just normal. This thing does not run that hot. Plus, it's just, cheap computer. Anyways, I'm gonna flash the BIOS, and then we can get into upgrading this thing, running it, and testing it out. So I'll be back in a bit. So before we get into any of the upgrades, I just wanted to document the Windows Experience Index, just to show. And currently we're sitting at 3.3. Now it's not going to change because the way Windows does it is they scale it based on your lowest score, which is my computer graphics, which is motherboard, which I did not order a graphics card yet. So this will stay the same, but we will see processor and I think RAM increase. Those two will increase because the RAM should be faster and the CPU is definitely faster. But, I just wanted to show you guys that and how it's going to change. And I am going to throw a couple more benchmarks up in a bit. So I just wanted to show that before I upgraded the BIOS and threw in the new hardware and stuff. So the only benchmark I ended up getting to work was the built-in benchmark in CPU-Z. So for single thread, we had a 77.7. And for multi-thread, we had a 160.1. And as you can tell, I am using my Pentium D E5800, which, fun fact, is actually the last LGA socket 7. Crap, I forget the second name now. Hold on. Socket, where is it at? 775 LGA. Last CPU they made for that socket. So yeah, but that should increase with the better Core 2 Duo E8600. So without further ado, let's tear this thing down. Alright, so I was contemplating it and thinking whether I should upgrade one bit at a time or upgrade everything at once. I think I'm going to upgrade everything at once, just to save myself time, but not headache, because knowing me, something is bound to go wrong. So, got my screwdriver, got my parts, and I'm just gonna take the cooler off. This is a spring-mounted cooler, so you're gonna hear the terrible sound of the springs. And I am just going to loosen the tension on it on opposite sides to practice good PC building hygiene. I'm not sure if that would be the word, but this driver's a bit big for this case / application, but I believe it's getting the job done. I think that one is good now. Okay, that side is off. This side is not off. Alright, that's off. I think the only one we have left is this corner down here. Now, looking at it, I don't see any bad caps on this motherboard. This PC was manufactured at the height of those bad capacitors, and I have not had any troubles with capacitors on this board. I don't know, no bulging, no leaking, nothing. It's been a pretty fantastic board. And there we go. That is the heatsink. Hold off. Just your typical OEM block style. Aluminum. Nothing fancy. I'm going to wipe that thermal paste off of it in a bit. Actually, I'll just grab some toilet paper right now. And here is our CPU, which is the dual-core Pentium E5800 right there. It is still a little warm from its BIOS updating escapades. But this CPU was actually manufactured in 06, so it is a little older than the system, but one of the last socket 775 CPUs ever made. And I'm gonna call that pretty clean. There we go. And now I'm gonna wipe the thermal compound off the heat sink, so we can apply some new, fresh stuff to the CPU. Looks like this Dell stuff has stained the block kind of a nasty gray color, but that's okay. Yeah, you can tell where the old thermal compound used to be. But yeah, and this is a Sunon fan too, so this isn't some crazy, special fan, just a Sunon fan. So yeah. So take out the old RAM too. I'm not going to need this RAM anymore, because I am replacing all DIMMs with all my DIMMs with the 2 gig sticks, and we're doing 4 of those. And I'm not sure how good your math is, but if my math is correct, that would be 8 gigs in total of DDR2. Put this little lever down so it's out of my way. And so out with the old, which I still don't know where this RAM comes from. It's not Samsung, which I have a couple sticks of SODIMM Samsung, a couple sticks of DDR3 DIMM Samsung, but I've never seen that brand, and I've never heard of this brand either. I was gonna get some ADATA stuff, but that stuff jumped in price a little bit, so I settled for this stuff, which should do the job fine. This is actually in retail packaging. As you can see, it's got a little hook on it, but I'm just gonna cut the seals on this so you can get a good look at this stick of RAM. Yeah, that is a brand new stick of 800 megahertz 2 gig DDR2 RAM. So since this is going to be populating all the DIMMs, I don't have to set it up for dual channel, because it will be in quad channel. Or actually, I think this is still dual channel memory, but it'll run with the both sets of DIMMs in dual channel. A little hard to work in this case with these power supply wires, but if I can at least just get to this back one, we'll be fine. Make sure it's lined up so I'm not smashing anything. So before installing Windows 10, I just wanted to boot up CPU-Z real quick and check the benchmark results. So obviously, as you can see here, Core 2 Duo E8600 with our TPD, or and all that stuff. Blah 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 blah. Memory, 8 gigs. Graphics are still the same, but this is what we want. We want the bench CPU. And as you can see, it is almost 4.5 times faster than the old CPU in multi-thread, and then in single thread about twice as fast. So yeah, this thing is gonna rip. All right, time to install Windows 10. All right, guys, and the build is complete. So as you can see, we have ditched Windows 7 for Windows 10. This is currently the latest build. If I just go to WinVer, you will see I'm running 21H2 build 19044, and this is Windows 10 Professional. just because I, thought since this is my desktop after all, I would have a professional version of Windows on here. So now I was really surprised at the performance of this thing. For this being a almost 16-year-old PC, it's quite snappy. If we just open, let's say, Task Manager, it's just right there. And it's just really snappy. Obviously, we got our Core 2 Duo E8600, our 8 gigabytes of DDR2, and all these drives are, obviously this is my C drive, and somewhere should be my my secondary drive. I actually switched my boot drive to the Western Digital drive, and my secondary drive is my Seagate Barracuda. And all these other drives are just all of the card readers on the front of the computer, and then we have my Wi-Fi adapter. So some other performance of this, opening Chrome is really quick. Just like that. Go to YouTube, loads web pages really, really quickly, and some of that has to do with the amount of RAM that this thing has. If we just go to my channel to play a video. Sorry about the shaky camera. I'm doing a little handy cam with my phone. And just like that, flawless 720p playback with the actual original Intel display adapter. But that Core 2 Duo E8600 really, really helps with the video playback. And flawlessly, if it's already buffered, it'll play really, really fast. And if it's not, a little second wait there. I have not installed a graphics card yet. That is on the way. It will be a NVIDIA GT 1030. 2 gigabytes of GDDR5 VRAM. And maybe one other future upgrade would be a sound card, only for the fact of a built-in headphone amp, because currently I am running a amplifier underneath my desk for the my passive speakers and also the headphone jack on it. And also to connect my laptop to my desk speakers. But I'd like to put a PCI Express 1X card in here. I just wanted to document, though, something I did find very interesting. That when you do the same CPU Z benchmark I did on Windows 7, you will notice that I actually bench higher. Bench CPU, here we go. You can see we're getting into the 570s. Much higher on the multi-thread than we were getting before. Just an interesting note I wanted to throw out there on Windows 10, which is running butter smooth, I might add. So, but anyways, I think that'll wrap it up for this this PC build. And this has been RNC Games, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.